Hello, this is Lady Boulay, and I hope you're having a wonderful day. Thank you for your support. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. Thank you for your thumbs up, and thank you for your comments. Thank you for all you do to support the channel. And yes, we are commanded to love one another, whether we want to or not, or whether we agree with each other or not. So, the Jamaicans came on here during the Hurricane Melissa crisis in Jamaica and blasted Black Americans for a number of reasons, for just being Black Americans. There were some people down there complaining about the accommodations after the hurricane. They say the people were Bermudans, but they were Bermudan Americans. And so people made the case, well, they're not even Black Americans. They're not even foundational Black Americans. Well, my point is this: even if that person was not a foundational Black American, if they were in Jamaica and had a certain level of expectation because they were paying for accommodations, that person had a right to voice their complaints. Now, some people might say it was insensitive, but I look at it from the standpoint that that lady or those people were not in Jamaicans' homes. They were in resort hotels, places that charge you to stay. They know that they have a hurricane season, and they knew that a hurricane was coming, and they had time to prepare so that the people would have comfortable accommodations as possible, not relying on other people's sympathy when you're charging them. Those are multi-billion-dollar industries. They have the money to hire the staff and to stock their supplies so that the food would be adequate. Now, that's my position. But I understand people saying, well, it was a hurricane and they should have been a little more considerate. I feel like you should have been considerate if you had been at somebody's house. I don't think you have to be that considerate when you're dealing with a corporation, because they're not going to cut you any slack. And if they are selling the tickets cheap at those resorts because they know it's a hurricane season, they still should have a certain standard of service that they provide to people. And I stand by that. I understand the Jamaicans wanted a reason to vent, because if there were Black Americans down there were white Americans down there were Europeans down there were Asians down there too. And if Black Americans were complaining, white Americans were complaining too. But the only people that they wanted to point out were Black Americans. So I had a problem with that. And then they were coming on here talking about how friendly they are and how welcoming they are and how all of this and how well raised they are. And so that brings me to today's video. And we know that Donnie on timeout is going to bring the tea.
Y'all, they wicked out there in Jamaica. They're robbing aid vans. You see this? They took 300,000 worth of supply from the aid, the people delivering aid to Jamaica, even civilians that's out there trying to provide aid to the Jamaicans. Jamaicans are robbing them. And don't let these they're setting up these GoFundMe accounts, and they're really just scamming people because they're not sending that money to the people in Jamaica. They're not even getting the supplies from these GoFundMe funds. And the Jamaicans are speaking out against it. They're like, no, you can't just be scamming people and you can't just be robbing these aid vans. They're trying to check their fellow Jamaicans, but it's wild out there in Jamaica. Check this lady out. She's frustrated.
Been trying to get through the roads today. I can't. The advice is to get police escort to go through, because guess what? The people that must start rub the ear. People want to Black people. What's wrong with Jamaican people? You see, you people like Linnea, who think you can come and exploit your own people, you're wicked. Give back the people them their CMOS that you never did give to them in the first place. Why would anybody trust that bitch, that evil bitch that robs their own people? There's people literally robbing the aid on the road right now. They're robbing civilians who are carrying things. They're robbing the official aid van. And the government is nowhere to be seen. People, Jamaica's in crisis, brother.
It's very sad to hear something like this. This woman is clearly upset over what is going on in her country. Now, remember, a few months back, Donald Trump deported Jamaicans, and the prime minister of Jamaica told them not to come back down there committing crimes. So it's entirely possible that the ones that were deported out of the United States are the ones that's down there robbing the people and doing these heinous things. But when they're in the United States, they get called black. But when they're in Jamaica, they get called what they are, Jamaicans. But it's shameful what they're doing down there. It's really shameful. And my heart really goes out to those Jamaican people because I know they are better than that and they don't deserve that. Now, this guy was one of the main critics of Black Americans, cussing Black Americans out, really. Now, let's listen to what he's got to say about this.
So no beware of some fake police or grown that try offer help during the hurricane, but really and truly them are rob and a kidnap people. Yeah man, me I listen to one victim story on news and boy sound like she just miss her death by an inch. But yeah guys, be cautious who approach you during this hurricane. Whether any strange vehicle, anybody will claim say them a police. Yeah man, not take help from nobody cause trust me, or no might be that one bad luck kid wanna get kidnapped under the day or then rob no or something. Nobody no really want help no. People I take advantage of the hurricane and go and rob people.
So I guess you got that. The crooks who are taking advantage of the hurricane victims are dressing up like policemen, going around robbing and kidnapping people and taking what they have. So he says, be very careful even of people who are dressed up like the police because they could be the criminals. Jamaicans are robbing the people who are bringing aid to the victims of the hurricane. These are not Black Americans down there robbing Jamaicans and taking away their supplies. These are Jamaicans robbing their own people. I understand desperation. No, I don't. No, I don't. I don't understand that kind of desperation because I've never been in that kind of desperation. But these are Jamaicans robbing Jamaicans. And the good part about it is that the Jamaicans themselves are speaking out. So all these people that were talking about folks complaining about food, that's all they were doing, complaining about accommodations at these billion-dollar resorts down there. They were complaining about that because they were paying to stay there. And they expected that these people had enough expertise in their industry that they would know that when the hurricane season comes, you don't know how the hurricane is going to turn. You don't know what damage is going to be done. So you need to do the best you can to prepare if you're going to sell tickets. Otherwise, just shut the resort down until hurricane season is over. That's my thing. But if you're going to have it open and you're going to charge people to come, then you shouldn't be upset when they complain. Now, the people who were complaining about the Americans or the Bermudan Americans, because a lot of those people coming down there to Jamaica to those resorts are people who are living in America, but they are of Caribbean descent. So they are coming down there to vacation in their homeland or near their homeland or on an island. And I'm sure they do come down there big pimping. That doesn't surprise me. Now, I want to say this, and I want to be very clear. I cannot say definitively what a Black American descendant of slavery or a foundational Black American will or will not do. I cannot say. But I can say what is acceptable and unacceptable with decent Black American people. It is not a part of our culture, and yes, we do have culture. It's not a part of our culture to go anywhere and look down on other people or demean or degrade other people, especially people in their homeland. That is not a part of our culture. Now, there are outliers and cranks in every culture, but that is not acceptable in the respected realm of the Black American culture. That is not what we stand for, and that is not what we endorse or support. Now, I can say that. But everything that goes wrong down there is not caused by Black Americans. It could be caused by their own fellow Caribbeans. And I wanted to make the point that there are people in the Caribbean who are telling the Jamaicans, you got a lot of nerve trying to talk about other people when Haiti in particular has their disasters, and their disasters They said the Jamaicans don't do anything but mock them and have a lot of smart remarks to make about it. But then when they're in crisis, they want to come and shake their finger at somebody else. Now, the takeaway from this is that none of us is perfect. I think it is perfectly all right for Caribbeans to call Black Americans out on behavior that's unfitting in their homeland, just as it is perfectly all right for Black Americans to call out behaviors in our homeland that we don't think is appropriate, or anywhere else that people of African descent live. There's nothing wrong with calling people's behavior out, but it needs to be done in the right way, because the way you send it out is the way it's going to be received. And then the way it's going to be received is the way you're going to get it back. So we really do need to be measured in what we say. And I'm going to take my own advice. We do need to be measured in what we say, but it's still nothing wrong with you critiquing behavior. Okay, y'all, let me know what you think about this video and have a great day.